Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast. For today, we're going over NFL Week 16. Man, it has been a long journey. And yeah, the pod is still going to go up. There's no UFC this weekend, but there's always NFL. A lot of fantasy championships are starting. Me, myself, got eliminated from 3 leagues. It was win and you're in, and I lost all 3 last week. So it was a torturous week, but that's why we do this DFS pod. Don't sweat it. DFS changes every week, so we are going to be good to go. Let's go ahead, pull up this week's matchup, try to win some bets, try to win in DFS, and try to win some money. It's going to be a short pod, not a lot to going on just with DFS here. So let's go ahead and get right to it. So we have the Thursday night game, of course, not a part. We only talk about the main slate for DFS, but we're still placing bets on Thursday night. We got the Saints going up against the LA Rams. The Rams are 4-point favorites at home. Over under sitting at 46 and a half. I think the Saints, it's pretty obvious. So Olave may come back this week, but it doesn't fucking matter. The Saints are not good. I didn't believe in the Saints all year. I'm not going to start now. Their record is 7-7. They should be a 7-7 team. I think the Rams are better than a 7-7 team. They're dealing with they dealt with a lot of injuries all year. But they're starting to get healthy when they need to. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams here. The 4 points. I could see it being a field goal game. I probably like the Rams just money line better. Honestly, it's like minus 200. It's probably the safer bet. But I think they'll probably cover the 4. So I like the Rams over under. I'm not touching. I'm just going to bet the Rams. And honestly, I'd probably just eat the chalk, be safe, do the Rams money line. When it comes to, don't forget, there are Saturday night games. Last week there were 3. This week there are 2, and they are all playoff implication matchups here. We have the Cincinnati Bengals, who are currently like the 5 or 6 seed, going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are on the outside looking in currently with 7 wins. Over under at 36 and a half. We have the Bengals as 2-point favorites, and I don't know if I would agree with this, man. I love me some home dogs. I think the Bengals are the better team, but their defense is banged up. Obviously, Joe Burrow's out. Jamar Chase is out. I think they're just missing too many pieces. I think the Steelers suck, and they somehow keep gathering wins together when they're not supposed to. And I think this is another one of them. Kenny Pickett it's probably going to be Mason Rudolph, honestly. Sorry about that. But yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers just keep winning. And it doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter when. Mike Tomlin is going to at least go 500. That's just what he does. And he only has so many more matchups where he can reach the 500 marker. And I think this was when he needs to win. He's at home. They're the healthier team and they're home dogs. I'm going to take the Steelers as a live underdog here. I'm not going to touch this over under matchup. But I think I would say the under hits, but I'm going to take the Steelers and I'm going to bet the Steelers. Next matchup, we have the future NFL champs for this season. We got the Buffalo Bills, just trying to make a playoff charge here. Going up against, you want to talk about hurt teams, Los Angeles Chargers. Bills are 12-point road favorites. That is ridiculous. Over under sitting at 43 and a half. Most of that is just the Bills and wide total, to be honest with you. Bills should win this game. It's not rocket science here. Chargers are starting Easton Stick. Keenan Allen still has not practiced all week. They're missing Herbert. They're missing Allen. They're missing Bosa. They're missing Mike Williams. They're missing a lot of pieces here. Eckler looks like he's stuck in the mud, and he's even splitting carries with like Joshua Kelly and Isaiah Spiller. It's just a mess. Bills are banged up as well, but they've been banged up all year. They're starting to just deal with it. Next man up mentality, and every single game is a playoff game to them. If they lose another game, they may not make the playoffs. So they're going to bring the intensity. It's on the road, but luckily it's to an inferior team. So the pick is going to be the Bills. Do I like 12 and a half? No, the Bills don't like the cover. But the Chargers are so banged up. I think they do by accident. So the pick is going to be the Bills. Bet's going to be Bills, and I'm just going to have to take them to cover. Next up, we have the Colts against the Falcons, and this is a line that has flipped. I initially bet the Falcons as home dogs. I love me some home dogs. But then the news came out with the Colts about Michael Pittman not playing, Zach Moss probably not playing. Now, Jonathan Taylor may come back this week. That's good news for them. But again, main slate game, I'm gonna still side with the Falcons. I know they suck. I heard a stat that the Falcons, out of all their offensive snaps, their 3 first rounders, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, they only touch the ball 25% of the time. That's insane. Arthur Smith is getting fired. They could win the division, and Arthur Smith is getting fired. Like, he's getting canned at the end of this. So, what are we going to do on a DFS standpoint? Oof. If you want to dabble with like 4,800 Trace Sermon, be my guest. Does that mean they're just going to air it out with Gardner Minshew? Possibly, but who are they airing it out too? Like, are you starting Alec Pierce? Like, you lost your wide receiver one. I'm just gonna play the Falcons defense in this instance. It's gonna be Taylor Heineke, and he's really, really cheap. Obviously, he's backup quarterback pricing in DFS. I'll probably have a Heineke Lou just because the Colts under always hits. No matter what it is, the Colts under always or over always hits. So their defense is not good. So if you have a cheap quarterback, you don't have to worry about who he's throwing to. I might just play naked Heineke, at least one naked Heineke, because I'm not trusting Pitts. I'm not trusting London. I'm not trusting Bijan. I don't know who it's going to be, but I know it's probably going to be at least partially Heineke. So I'll probably play naked Heineke, and I'm probably not touching any other part. If you want to play Pitts or London or Bijan, I understand. But it's a risk. It's a risk every single week with these Falcons. So we'll see what they do. But I'll take the Falcons here. Now that they're favorites, I'm still going to take them at that -1. It's basically a pick 'em. I'll still take the Falcons. All right, next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks going up against the Tennessee Titans. The Seahawks are 2.5-point road favorites. I'd like to know if it's going to be Geno or if it's going to be Drew Lock. I do believe it looks like it's trending towards Geno. I would like the Seahawks a lot more if it was Geno Smith, so I am going to take them to cover the 2.5. I don't know if Will Levis is going to play. It might be Ryan Tannehill, and I think that's interchangeable. It might be better for them. Maybe Tannehill comes out and he just needed a little break, a little rest, and he's going to come out and try to earn his job back. I have no idea, but the Seahawks have a pretty good run defense, so that takes Derrick Henry out of it. And that means they're going to have to pass all over him. And I don't know if I'm trusting Tannehill airing it out to D-Hop. He just doesn't do it the way Will Levis does. So I'll take the Seahawks. I really don't like the line. I could see this being a 50-50 game. I don't know who's winning it. Over under at 41.5. Might just take the over, to be honest with you. I don't think I want to pick a side. I'm going to take the over 41.5. Fantasy perspective, if Geno's there, you can start him. And you can start him. Jackson Smith and Jigba has been heating up. You can start JSN. He's still a good price. I think he's like 5,100, 5,400, something like that on DraftKings. You can start DK. You can start, honestly, Titans' run defense has not been good as of late. So you can start Kenneth Walker. You can start Tyler Lockett. You can start basically all your normal Seahawks. Titans' defense is just not good in general. Derrick Henry hasn't been performing, but he's been finding the end zone. By hook or crook, he finds his way into the end zone. And then it's D-Hop and nobody else. So if you want to start all those Seahawks and running back with D-Hop, you're more than able to, but I'm just tempering expectations with Ryan Tannehill instead of Will Levis. Will Levis doesn't give a fuck, and he'll just air it out to D-Hop. Ryan Tannehill cares about his stats, and he's just not as he's a little more passive. He's not as wild. So you want to run it back, you can with D-Hop, and that's probably the only way I'm doing it. All right, next game, we have the Detroit Lions going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Lions are 3.5-point road favorites. Man, this is a tricky matchup. Vikings coming off the big overtime letdown to the Bengals. Lions were rolling against the Broncos. I really do feel like this is a trap game, and I don't like the half. So I'm going to take the Vikings to cover just because they're giving me the half point. I feel like this could be a field goal game. Lions have a really stout run defense, but you can pass all over them. The Vikings don't really have a running game at all right now. Alexander Mattison has been terrible, and I don't know if he's going to be playing. Ty Chandler looked great in Madison's absence last week. But I don't see him doing that every week, and especially against this Lions D. But we do have a game with Justin Jefferson, and I have a few lineups where I have Amon-Ra on one side, Justin Jefferson on the other. Now it takes a lot of your salary. They're like the 2 and 3 wide receivers in the, I think they're 3 and 4 or something like that. Most expensive wide receivers on the slate. But there's a lot of cheap spots this week to where I have both of them in a lot. I'm playing a lot of Amon-Ra and running it back with the Vikings or with Jefferson. In regards to like Gibbs and Monty, who knows? I think it's going to be a shootout. I don't hate the. I don't know if it's going to be. I don't know. Vikings are indoor. Jared Goff will be fine in the dome. So yeah, I recant everything. I think it's going to be a shootout. And I'm going to play Amon-Ra. I'm going to play Justin Jefferson. You can play T.J. Hawkinson. God knows who the Vikings quarterback is. No one really knows. But Jared Goff, you can play with him. Sam Laporta. I think the Lions win, but I just don't think they cover the 3.5. I think it's going to be a field goal game. So I'll take the Vikings just to cover, and DFS just start all the studs. In all honesty, whatever assortment you want. Next up, we have Commanders and Jets. We'll go through real quick. You can start Garrett Wilson in DFS, and that is it. I don't know what's going on with Brian Robinson, but I'm not touching anyone anyway, whether it's what is his name, Chris Gonzalez or Antonio Gibson. I'm not touching anyone against the Jets, and obviously not their passing game. Sam Howell got benched last week for Jacoby Brissett, so I'm not trusting Sam Howell out there, so I can't trust his receivers. I can't trust his tight end. I can trust no one against this Jets D. Now, I will tell you, I never want to bet the Jets as favorites. I know they're the home team. Yeesh, I don't know about that. 3 points, and their quarterback is Trevor Siemian. I don't know if I'm laying points with Trevor Siemian. It might be a dog or pass with the Commanders. Or I think I'm just going to take the under. I know it's sitting at 36.5. It's extremely low. It might be the lowest total on the week. The Patriots one might be even lower. It's either the lowest or the second lowest on the entire slate. It doesn't matter. I'm still taking the under. I can see this being a 10-3 game or something crazy like that. So the pick are going to be the Commanders, but the bet's the under. And I'm starting Garrett Wilson, and that is it. I'm not even starting Breece Hall. I'm starting Garrett Wilson. That is literally it. All right. In the boat, you can start both defenses, to be honest with you. Save some cash. You can start both defenses. You can't start either one of these defenses. You have the Panthers going up against the Packers. Packers are 5-point road favorites. No, they're playing Carolina, so I'll agree with that. Anyone against Carolina, I'll just take the points. I'll lay those any day of the week. In regards to DFS, Jonathan Mingo is getting more and more targets. If you want to play him, you can. Aaron Jones didn't he only played like 40%, 48%, something like that of the snaps last week. But he was making his return. I don't think they wanted to overwork him. He'll probably get more work now. The Packers are still trying to make a playoff push, and they can, I guess, if you mathematically they can. So they'll use Aaron Jones. He'll be fine. Christian Watson, he's always hurt. I don't know if he's playing. I don't know what's going on there. Jaden Reed got hurt last week. I don't know what's going on there. There's a lot of mystery around the Packers, but you can run all over the Panthers. So I know people were disappointed with Aaron Jones last week. I say you go back to the well. I think he's another week healthier. And he's going to get even more touches this week. So I love Aaron Jones this week. And again, Panther side, Jonathan Mingo is getting a ton of touches. If you want to look his direction, I have no problem with the price he is. And that is it for that game. Screw that. And I'm taking the I'm gonna take the Panthers to cover. They don't win the game. I do not think they win the game, but I think they cover the 5. All right, next game is another one where this line has flipped. Browns were originally the underdogs. They are now 2.5-point favorites on the road. Over under sitting at 40.5, and that is predominantly because of Houston's health. CJ Stroud still has not practiced and is looking doubtful to play on Monday. So we might see another Case Keenum outing. Nico Collins is also not spotted at practice, so he's probably not playing. Obviously, Tank Dell is out for the year. So it's just going to be Noah Brown as your number 1, and then Devin Singletary and Dameon Pierce. That's what you got going. Not good news for the Texans. I'm going to take the Browns here all day. 2.5 points. Yep. I actually came to a consensus that the Browns are the luckiest team in the NFL. They're playing the Texans when they're the most vulnerable. They're playing They beat the 49ers, but the 49ers lost CMC, Trent Williams, and Debo all in that game. And then they missed an extra, they missed a field goal in order to win it. So that was interesting. That was a lot of luck. They played the Bengals when Joe Burrow was hurt. We had the Hail Mary last week where Mooney just dropped the Hail Mary in the end zone while on his back. There's a lot of good fortune for the Browns. And I think it's going to continue. Is it going to rear its ugly head in the playoffs? Absolutely. This could even potentially be their last win of the year with their schedule coming up. But I do think they take this one just solely because of how baked up the Texans are, man. Over under at 40 and a half. I don't know. I might just take the under. It's not like Joe Flacco is God's gift. Like, I know he's producing. And if you want to start him, I don't blame you. I really don't. They're letting him air it out for some godforsaken reason. The Texans don't have a great defense, but they'll play you tough. So I don't know. I think it's going to be close, but it's only 2.5. So I will take the Browns. I'll take the Browns defense. I'll definitely start them. If you want to start Amari, you can. If you want to start Flacco, honestly, you can. If you want to do a Ford Hunt money savings, you can start either one. And again, Texan side, I don't care that Noah Brown's the only show in town. I'm gonna start maybe like Singletary, and that's it. I really don't want to start anyone on the Texans. So Browns D, Amari, Flacco. Uh, and Njoku, oh my God, Njoku is getting targeted left and right with Flacco. So definitely start Njoku. He's getting pricey, but it is what it is. Flacco just stares him down. All right, next game. We have another line flip. If you wanted to bet this week, I hope you got in early. Bucks were originally dogs. They are now 1-point favorites at home. A lot of that is because of Trevor Lawrence's concussion. We don't know if he's going to play. All respect in the world to Trevor Lawrence. He is just a Terminator out there, no matter how hurt he is. High ankle sprains that should leave you out 5 weeks. He's out there the next week. Now he has a concussion. If it's up to him, he's playing. I don't know if the NFL's going to allow this one. We'll see. But the line has flipped, and I'm going to agree with that. I was going to take the Bucks regardless. They're hot right now, and they're playing for their division. They can win this division. Over under at 42.5. Would like to know who it is at quarterback, but I know Zay Jones is probably not going to be there. I know Christian Kirk is definitely not going to be there. So you're looking at just Ridley. And what is that name? Mike Parker Washington. If you want to save some money, it sounds crazy. You can play Parker Washington, but I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying as a money saver, if you're in a stretch, you can. Also, you can stay in the flames with Mike Evans and Baker. Baker's going to go off, man. Jaguars have been giving up on average 20 points to the tight end position the last 3 weeks. So if you want to start Cade Otton, this is the week to do it. And he seems to keep finding the end zone. So I also secret Loki loved Cade Otton anytime touchdown. I think it's going to happen. Jaguars do not defend the tight end. But yeah, start Cade Otton. That's like my start of the week this week. You can start Baker Mayfield. Yes, stream him. Stay in the flames with Baker. And obviously his studs and Mike Evans and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. You can start either one. You can play both. You can play Rachaad White. He's been on a tear. Now, I will temper expectations a little. The Jags pass defense is struggling. Their run defense is still good. They are tough to run on. So if Rachaad White gets there, it's going to be through the passing game, a whole bunch of like screen passes and dump offs. So I don't like him as much. I know he has scored no less than 19 fantasy points the last like 4 or 5 weeks or something crazy like that. And his price is going up and up and up, and it's justifiably so. He's been going off. I think this is where it falls off. I think this is a Baker game. I think Baker goes nuclear. I think Cade Otton is a must start. That sounds gross. And I think you do some Bucks mega stacks. I mean, start Baker, Evans, Godwin, and Otton if you want. Like, it's going to be intense. But then you need a comeback on the other side, and I guess it's ETN or Ridley. Tampa Bay run defense is still good, but it's not as vaunted as it used to be. ETN's gonna see a ton of work if it's Beathard out there, even if it's Trevi, he's still gonna see a ton of work. So if you want to run it back with ETN, you can, or the only receiver standing with Ridley, you can there too. All right, and then the next game we have the Bears versus Falcons. Bears are 4.5-point favorites. Fuck that. I'm taking the Cardinals here. Cardinals aren't good. But with Kyler there, they're not terrible. They shouldn't be 4-point favorite or 4-point dogs to the Bears. Yeah, the Bears have looked a lot better as of late since the trade deadline. Montez Sweat's been getting to the QB. DJ Moore and Justin Fields are healthy and look rejuvenated, but they're still the Bears. They're not good. They're playing Kyler. I know Kyler's not going to have Hollywood Brown most likely. He still is going to run around and scramble and do whatever he can. Michael Wilson, who knows what's going on with his health. I think it's going to be a big Trey McBride week. It sounds crazy. I do think Trey McBride is also kind of a must start. You could even, it sounds intense, but I might have two tight ends in my lineups this week. I might have a Trey McBride and run it back with Cole Kmet. I might have a Trey McBride, Cade Otton in my flex. Like, it's gonna be weird, but you're gonna have to save some money in some of these spots here. So I like the Cardinals. I like the Cardinals to cover the 4.5. I might even take their money line, to be honest with you. They're due for a win. Over under, I like the over 43.5. And DFS wise, I still, even though I think you're going to lose, I still like Moore. I still like I still like Moore. I still like Fields. I'm not touching those running backs anywhere. I'm not touching any other wide receiver. It's Fields and Moore, and that's it. If you want to touch Cole Kmet, you can. Cardinals, it's McBride and Kyler, and that is it. If you want to do, I don't know, the Bears' run defense has been really good. I'm kind of scared for James Conner, so I I just like McBride and Murray, and that is it on the Cardinals side. And I like both defenses. I think no, I don't, because I like the over. I don't know. I'm talking myself out of stuff real time. So I like the Cardinals. Okay, I like the Cardinals to cover, and I like Kyler and Trey McBride. So next game of the last one for the main slate, we had the Dallas Cowboys coming off an ass whooping, going up against the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are 1.5-point favorites. I think the Cowboys bounce back here. I'll take the Cowboys as live underdogs. I'll take their money line. You might as well at 1.5. Get the little extra points there. Over under at 49.5. Who cares? Because I'm just going to bet the Cowboys money line. And in regards to DFS, if anything, I think it's a Mostert. You can always start Mostert. I know Dallas is really going to be fixated on stopping the run. I don't know if Tyreek is going to play. They're acting like he is. They're acting like he could have played last week, but he chose not to, and he was saving it for Dallas. I don't know, man. I don't know if he's playing. Jalen Waddle, if Tyreek doesn't play, you can play Jalen. Just know he's going to get tackled, lay on the ground, pretend like he can't go anymore, and then come back 2 plays later. He does this every single week. He looks like he dies out on the field, and then he just comes back like nothing ever happened. He does this every week. It's the most annoying thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, I like Mostert, and I like Waddle if Hill doesn't play. Man, you know what? I like Hill even if I like Waddle even if Hill does play. Again, Gilmore likes to shadow, and that Bland dude loves to jump routes. You don't want to jump around with Jalen Waddle. He's going to burn you. You make one wrong move, he's gone. So I guess I don't really hate Tua, but I do kind of like Waddle here regardless, and I like Mostert. On the Cowboys side, I like Tony Pollard. I think it's a Tony Pollard week. And then I also like CD, obviously, start the big guns. Ferk Daddy, if you want to, the Dolphins are not good against the tight end. So if you want to start Jake Ferguson, you're more than able to. So I like a lot of pieces on both sides. I know these high overs have not been hitting, but this one might. It's in Miami. I know Dak is terrible on the road and he's terrible outside. I don't think Miami is a dome. I think they are outside, but it's Miami weather. That's the trick here. It's not Dak in cold weather outside. It's Dak in warm weather on the road. So I think he'll be able to keep up. I think he'll have a chip on his shoulder from last week. So I think it's an offensive explosion that and the main slate. I'll take the Cowboys to cover, and I like all their stars. I like all the Dolphin stars, and I really like Mostert and Waddle for the Dolphins. All right, then that takes us to the Sunday night game, the game everyone has been waiting for. The New England Patriots going up against the Denver Broncos. Broncos are 6.5-point favorites. Last week, I said, hear me out. I think the Panthers are going to win, and they did. Hear me out. Patriots are live. They may not win, but I think they cover the 6.5. I'll take the Patriots cover. In regards to the over under 34.5, I'll take the under because it's a Patriots game. I like both defenses in this matchup. Bailey Zappi against Russ Wilson. Yeah, go ahead and give me both defenses. Cortland Sutton scores every single week. He just can't help it. So you can start Cortland Sutton finally. His price isn't moving, even though he's scoring every single week. That's about it, though. I don't like it a ton. Javonte Williams is getting a lot more work as of late. Zeke, if you want, he's the only show in town in regards to the running backs. He can run on Denver a little bit. I don't hate Zeke actually at all in this matchup, but that's it for the Patriots. I don't like anyone else. I just like Zeke. And then the Broncos, I only like Cortland Sutton, and I don't hate um Javonte Williams, but I'm going to probably stay away from the matchup a ton. But the Patriots, man, I think they cover. And that takes us to Monday. We have 3 Christmas games. We have the Raiders going up against the Chiefs. It's going to be utter domination. Chiefs are 10-point home favorites, and I think they win but don't cover. Chiefs never cover. So give me the Chiefs to win, but I'll take the Raiders to cover the 10. Over under at 41.5. I'm gonna take the under again. Chiefs just don't wow me. But DFS wise, we can do a Christmas Day DFS matchup, I guess. No, I'm not. We're just gonna stick with who's gonna win here. Screw it. So I like the Raiders to cover. I think the Chiefs win, and I think the under is gonna hit. That takes us to Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets taking on the Eagles in the division. Everyone believes the Eagles are in shambles, and that's why they're gonna come out here and dominate. 12 is a big number. They're gonna cover. I'll take the Eagles, and I'll take the Eagles all day. Over under at 42.5. I'll take the over, and that's simply because I think the Eagles are going to score a ton. So I like the Eagles. I think they cover all the points they need to, and I think things start rolling again in Philadelphia. And then the game of the week, we have the Baltimore Ravens going up against the San Francisco 49ers. Now I'll stay away from DFS, but I will tell you whatever quarterback wins this game is probably going to be the favorite to win MVP. So just be real cognizant of what goes on here. I think if Purdy wins and wins out, he probably wraps it up. If Lamar wins here, it throws a wrench in everything, and I think it's going to end up, hear me out, I think it's going to be Lamar or Josh Allen if Lamar wins this game that wins MVP. So big here, 5.5 points. I understand. The Ravens are too good to give 5.5 points. So I'll go ahead. I'll take the Ravens to cover. I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but I think they cover 5.5. Over under at 46.5. I think the over is going to hit. Both these offenses are explosive. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be a good game. I think San Fran probably wins, but I think the Ravens get the cover. And that's NFL Week 16. Only 2 more weeks after this of NFL football. A lot of these games are very, very crucial when it comes to the playoffs, and you only have a few more opportunities to bet NFL this week. So give it a listen, hit the subscribe, give a follow, give it a follow over and a like over on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever there's social media. There is a Stats and Stacks podcast, and we are winning money. Let's get it.